mitten, pool noodle, hot glue gun. Let's go. From your full steam ahead kit or gathered from home, you'll need a mitten, 2 pieces of pool noodle cut like this, some white felt, some fluff, and a hot glue gun. If you're using cotton batting from your kit, make sure you rip it all apart finely to make it very fluffy rather than stuffing the whole sheet in there. Let's take a look at these 2 specific shapes of pool noodles and how you make them if you'd like to make some more. So you'll notice that you've got this section of pool noodle that sort of looks like a pair of pants, and it goes into the bottom of your crewmate. At the back, the rectangular section is making the pack. In order to make the correct shape for the leg sections, you're going to cut a piece of pool noodle that's about twice as long as the width of the cuff of your mitten. For best results, try to do your cutting with a box cutter or a craft knife with the blade extended all the way out. This should be done with the assistance and supervision of an adult if you are not an adult yourself. Cut down through the diameter of the pool noodle. About the depth of the blade should be about 1 inch, but you should be trying to go for the width of the cuff of your mitten. Now pivot the blade and you are going to cut through the entire diameter again, having moved a couple of centimeters. You're cutting the width of the legs here. That doesn't need to be perfectly exact, but once you've done that, you are going to remove the larger notches that are left there. Make sure you're removing the larger sections and leaving the smaller ones there. And once you're done, you will have a weird looking pair of pool noodle pants. Wonderful. Look at those pants. All right, the second section is very simple to make. You need to cut a length of pool noodle that is the length of the thumb for your mitten, and it is a quarter cross section of pool noodle. You can cut that very quickly and efficiently the same way. Be careful with your blade, but it does cut very smoothly and neatly. So if you can cut with a box cutter rather than scissors, you'll have a much cleaner result. If you think you're going to be making a ton of crewmates, either to make a lot of kits for kids to take home like I did, or because you just want your own huge collection of all the different colors, you can make yourself a little guide like I did. You just need to get some sort of small container that your pool noodle can fit in and tape up some guides on the side that are the width of the legs that you want to cut out. That way you can very quickly and precisely cut these out and save yourself a lot of time while making sure that you have a consistent result. Let's get building. We're going to start by putting the pack together. You're going to put your piece of pool noodle stuffed firmly into the thumb for your mitten. Make sure it goes all the way to the base, and there you go. Now grab a handful of fluff and stuff that all the way into the mitten to where the head is going to be. Start a little small. You can always fill it back up if you'd like some more. All right, I think I'm actually pretty happy with that. So I'm going to grab my pool noodle pants and get the legs in there. When putting the pants in, make sure you are putting them in the right orientation in regards to where your pack is. The pack needs to be right at the back, so make sure that it is not accidentally on the same side as a leg. Pinch the fabric between the legs to give you a little preview, and if you're happy with that, we're ready to start gluing. Apply hot glue all around the rim of the inside edge of the pack. Don't put it just in the middle. You actually do want it a little towards the outside so that it adheres really nicely and keeps that rectangular shape. You're then going to give it a really good squeeze and make sure you hold it close for about 30 seconds or more. Don't be impatient with this part. Now we are going to glue the legs. We're going to do a very specific step that will allow us to have the 2 legs covered in the fluff and cut them apart so they're separate. Make sure you are very patient and kind with yourself, and if you do make some mistakes, hot glue can fix almost anything, so don't worry. All right, you are going to put a sort of horseshoe shape of hot glue inside where you can see I'm tracing it. I'm going to hold this up to the camera so you can see it very clearly. You might even want to draw a guide for yourself with some Sharpie on the inside. So you're putting that horseshoe shape and then squeezing together. Again, you need to be very patient with allowing this to dry. Don't keep checking to see if it's dried. Give it at least 30 seconds. If you are feeling unsure about your skills or your scissors about cutting these two legs apart, you might just decide to leave them glued together like that. However, if you would like to separate them, you are simply going to cut up in between where your glue was. You might be able to feel the hard lines of the hot glue. If not, just gently cut up a little bit at a time. I'm actually going to use a craft knife here to try to open it up a little bit more finely, a little deeper. And afterwards, I'm going to use the hot glue to help fill in some of those frayed edges. Be very careful when you're doing that with your fingers. I'm using a very low temperature glue gun, which is ideal to use for this type of craft, but please be very careful when you're doing this. If you are also comfortable sewing, this is a no-sew project, but if you do like to sew a little bit, you could get some very fine detailing done with a needle and thread with some really basic stitching skills in here. For our last step, we are going to make the face shield for the helmet. I am just going to cut a simple oval shape. You might like to trace this out or practice on a piece of paper first if you have limited resources. And you can also, of course, make this a little fancy if you want to put some reflections in there. Whatever you want. It's your crewmate, not mine. I am not the boss of you. All right, that's a nice shape, so I'm just going to hot glue this down. Make sure one last time that I'm putting it in the exact spot I want, and there we go. Fantastic job. Thanks for building along with us, and check back in for some more projects. Full Steam Ahead is offered by the Fort St. John Public Library nearly every Saturday of the school year, supported by Shell. Thanks for participating, and check out some of our other projects available here on YouTube.